In the grand and unfathomable expanse of existence, within the infinite and ever-unfolding chronicle of human action and consequence, there existed a moment so utterly confounding, so incomprehensibly paradoxical, that it threatened to dismantle the very fabric of reality itself. This moment, this singularity of absurdity and transcendence, centered upon none other than the enigmatic and legendary figure known as Heby Tf2, a being whose every action seemed to toe the delicate line between brilliance and madness, between the mundane and the divine. On this fateful occasion, Heby Tf2 found himself engaged in an act as ancient as civilization itself, nay, as fundamental to existence as time and space, the consumption of a sandwich. But to refer to this as mere consumption would be to grievously understate the gravity of what was unfolding. No, this was no ordinary ingestion, no thoughtless act of nourishment undertaken with casual disregard. This was a ritual, a practice imbued with meaning so profound that to witness it was to stand upon the precipice of understanding something greater than oneself. For in the careful, deliberate manner with which Heby Tf2 raised the sandwich to his lips, in the measured precision of each bite, in the harmonious interplay of bread, meat, and cheese dissolving into a symphony of flavor upon his palate, there was something resembling divinity itself. Yet, as he partook in this act of unparalleled gastronomic reverence, another action was unfolding, one so bewildering, so cosmically impossible that it shattered every preconceived notion of space, time, and logic. For even as Heby Tf2 savored his sacred meal, even as he honored the craftsmanship of the sandwich with each meticulous chew, he was simultaneously engaged in an act of bodily necessity, one that, under ordinary circumstances, would have been utterly unremarkable. But there was nothing ordinary about what was transpiring. Heby Tf2 was urinating. But this was no mere expulsion of liquid waste, no routine fulfillment of a physiological imperative. No, this was something far greater, something unfathomable, something that defied the very tenets upon which the universe had been constructed. For in that precise moment, with neither hesitation nor concern for the ramifications of his actions, Heby Tf2 was not simply urinating within the house, nor was he solely relieving himself outside the house. Instead, through means unknown, perhaps unknowable, he was doing both simultaneously. The mind reels at the implications. The notion that one could exist in two opposing spatial realities at once, both inside and outside, both within and beyond, was an affront to all reason, an insult to the foundational principles upon which architecture, physics, and common sense were built. The walls of the house, meant to delineate the boundary between the interior and the exterior, were rendered meaningless. The very concept of place was obliterated. He was neither fully contained nor fully uncontained. He was both. He was neither. He had transcended. And what were the consequences of this act? Did the universe, upon recognizing the anomaly, shudder in protest? Did time itself hesitate, uncertain of how to proceed in the wake of such blatant disregard for spatial logic? One could only speculate. Perhaps some cosmic force took note of this event and whispered, in some unknowable tongue, that a threshold had been crossed, one from which there could be no return. Perhaps in some distant reality, where philosophers pondered the deepest mysteries of existence, an answer was forming, though it would remain forever beyond our grasp. For those who bore witness to this event, whether directly or through the echoes of legend, there could be no simple explanation. Some would dismiss it as fabrication, an impossibility conjured by overactive imaginations. Others, those who had gazed upon the scene and had felt the quiet hum of the universe trembling in response, would know the truth. that on that day, in that moment, the world was forever changed. And so, as Heby Tf2 finished his sandwich, and as the final droplets of his dual-realm urination settled into their respective fates, silence fell. The world held its breath. The wind, the trees, the very stars above seemed to pause, as if acknowledging the sheer impossibility of what had transpired. For he had done what no man before him had dared to do. He had not merely eaten, he had not merely relieved himself, he had rewritten the rules of reality itself.